Oh, g'day, listeners. Welcome to Bar Karate, the sailing podcast. I hate to say it, another week has gone, but I'm pumped to be here with my mates. BP, how are you, buddy?
Mate, I'm absolutely pumped. I'll tell you what, I was just going through everything this week, and there's just so much going on all the time. It's amazing what Bar Karate actually does. It makes you realise what is happening, eh?
So much, BP, so much. Mr. Boss, welcome.
Thank you. G'day, men. Good to be on the airwaves with you. Coming in live from Adelaide, South Australia. Last day here for a few weeks anyway. But always a sad time to leave the family, but good time to get back into the world of yachting.
So where are you off to, old mate?
I'm doing a little tour through the European states: Spain, Portugal, Italy, France, up to the UK. So looking forward to a good trip.
September's a beautiful time of year in that part of the world.
Well, I'll be sure to be broadcasting and telling you all about it.
To the Adelaide Green. G'day, how you going, all right?
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Heaps good. Heaps good.
Telling you all. Talk about telling you all about it. A little bit of an interesting week this week, Jordan and Bicey.
What's that, BP?
Yeah, I managed to hook up with an ex.
Oh. Your wife can hear this, mate.
Where's this going?
Yeah, no, it's all good. I told her. I was straight up to the point, and I've let her know that it's happened. I went up to Port Stephens. I saw her, and I brought
outside of the postcode anyway.
Yeah, no. But the crazy thing is, I saw her, and it was just natural. It just felt so good. I hitched her up and brought her back to Sydney, and took her down the club, and that's where I left her, actually. I untied her, sat on her, gave her a clean up, and there she is. She's back at the club. Of course, we're talking about a boat.
You had us going, BP.
Thought you had us there, swimming outside of the flags, as they say.
Yeah, no, I just
outside of the postcode. Box it out of the ring.
No, bringing it back to Sydney was a bit of a risky one, but no, it's all paid off for me.
Yeah, well, the old T8, mate.
We'll talk about it a bit later.
Yeah, we'll have a bit of a chat about that. We might be going for a yacht, Bar Karate yacht.
We are.
All right. Hey, speaking of a lot to talk about, obviously, I don't know if any of you guys caught. There was maybe one or two photos came out. So we did have the launch of the new Team New Zealand boat. So that was pretty cool. We'll get onto that in a minute. Before we get into the show, Bossy, a very good mate of ours, Mr. Sean Rice, is today, seeing Sunday, the ICF World Champs on. So for those who don't know what that is, that's the ocean ski paddling. And a good mate of ours, he's a chance of a win. Yep.
Got our money on Sean to take that out. I went to Centrebet last night, and they're like, what the hell are you talking about? But we'll take a wager.
Yeah, well, I was chatting to him last night, so he's fired up. He's fired up as we about this episode. So, guys, last week, prior to recording episode 11, old BP suggested we grab young Chris Hosking, main trimmer on the TP52 Provessa, to talk about the work they did to get their spare rig up and on board after they dropped it in race 1 of the Worlds. But then we just started talking about all the things he done and thought, like his work on the TPs, managing all those build programs, the work on the RC44 Charisma, all the programs he managed, his ability in a nightclub. We just couldn't actually thought he might deserve a chance on the episode to have a bit of a chat and answer a few allegations, but. So he's going to be our special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome young Chris Hosking to Bar Karate.
Chris, yes.
G'day, fellas. Thank you very much for having me on board your show.
It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful day. Let's roll.
Cool. Chris, mate, so I'll start it. Just how did the rig go down? Let's go with Provetta. We'll go through the TP and we'll go on to the other stuff in a bit. But what happened? How did she go down? You oversheet?
Yeah, no, it wasn't me. Well, it might have been me, but one of those ones when rigs fall over the side, it's very hard to find out or work out what happened. And unfortunately, it happened at a critical moment for us in the Worlds. It should have been a good event for us, and was going to be a good event for us. And the conditions weren't extreme at the time, as you know. It was only blowing about 11 knots, and we've had a look at all the data, all the telemetry that comes off the boat, and there's nothing abnormal there. So, there's a lot of drone footage, a lot of video, a lot of, pictures that are, sort of showing the incident, and we can't find anything conclusive. So it looks like it might have been a catastrophic mast tube failure. And, now we've, got to put that behind us and work towards trying to get a new rig in the boat for 2020.
I guess in an instance like that, whilst it would be good to pinpoint exactly what happened, sometimes it's almost better not to know, just within the industry, if that makes sense. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think we all want to know, though, because it's, it's only going to make us all better and understand the product better. We're definitely pushing the envelope with those rigs. There's very little safety factor with them when you talk to the designers and the engineers of those things. And obviously we've done something to it that caused it to fall over the side. So extremely disappointing for that owner. And, we've got to soldier forward.
Did you go and look at the hacksaw blades on Platoon just to see if there was any? Like all the teams, we do a rig check at the end of every day of yachting, and nothing spurious come out of that. There's no sort of hacksaw marks in any rigging or no carbon dust laying around on the deck. So mate, we don't know is the answer, really.
Yeah, look, obviously commiserations, but look, I think for the listeners, one of the reasons we sort of wanted to have a chat to you was to sort of go through, if you like, to the general public what actually took place after that. You've dropped the rig, and then it's all stations to get yourself sailing again. An amazing effort by all involved. Obviously, the logistics that are involved, getting the rig over from Valencia, wasn't it?
And on a Sunday in Spain.
Yeah, right. And so basically, just run through that a little bit with us, because there's a lot of people out there who probably don't actually realise how hard that all is.
Yep. Well, I can tell you it's hard. And even for all of us that have been in the industry for a long time working at this level, it was nearly impossible to do what we did. But we're very lucky that we had a spare rig, an older rig, a 2016 generation rig sitting in Valencia at the Victory Challenge America's Cup base there. And as I said, it was on a Sunday. And Peterson May is a sponsor of the Super Series, and we work closely for them. Actually, my wife works for them, and we managed to get that spare rig loaded on a truck on a Sunday afternoon in Valencia and put on the ferry and sent over to Palma. And it arrived first thing Monday morning into STP, the big boat yard there in Palma. And we managed to dress the thing and put it in the boat. But obviously, as you know, even though they're both Vrolic boats, our old boat and our new boat, there's just enough small differences between those two boats to make it very difficult to fit a different generation rig into that current boat. So we had a lot of rooting around to make the bits fit. And then obviously all the checks and everything that you got to do to make sure that you don't have another failure. You got to be able to sail safely at the end of the day, and it was a mountain of rooting around to get that rig in the boat and make it sailable.
And sail you did. You came back on the water and just nailed it. If you had raced the whole regatta, you would have absolutely smashed him.
Yeah, I mean the what if. What could have been. I try not to think about that too much, because every team out there wants to win every regatta, every race that's sailed. And particularly a world championship at that level is a really, highly prestigious thing for anybody to win. And, I'd like to have thought that we were a good shot at winning that regatta, or certainly being a top three boat. We're very strong in those conditions. And we know the Bay of Palma really well. At that time of year. So, I would have figured if I was a betting man, I would have gone down to the TAB and put money on us. yeah, it was what it was, and shit happens, and you got to move on.
Yeah, that's the way. Okay, good one.
So, Chriso, you've held court down in Mick Cookson's little porticom at the back of his joint for many a year. Tell us, how many TPs have you actually project managed?
I think it's 8. 8 is the number. Yeah.
So who do you go to if you want a TP? Chris Hosking. Unfortunately, our mate Mick's not there anymore, but we'll have to find another yard, eh?
Yeah, well, Mick, he's loving life now on his farm up in Warkworth there with his sheep and horses and stuff. And Mick's a great man, and we've lost a legend out of the industry. There's no question about that. His knowledge and experience is absolutely second to none. And I guess he's chosen to retire at the right time for him in his life, but he's going to be sorely missed. There's no question about that.
So for those listening, that's Mick Cookson of Cooksons that have been around or stalwart in the NZ boat building industry for many years, built many a cup boat, many a Volvo Whitbread boat, and I think between Chriso and Chriso's owners, they've paid for that farm up in Warkworth.
Not me personally, but redistributing the wealth of owners' money into Mick Cookson's pockets. But we got a great product out of it at the end of the day. So super stoked. All those guys that work there, though, they've all moved on. Brush, Peter Thomas, Jeff Senior, Scotty Stokes, all those legends are now moved on, and I think most of them are at Team New Zealand now. They've just built that crazy red rocket thing that we just saw launch yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Didn't see it.
Yeah,
didn't see it anywhere. So, just still in the project management side of things, you were part of the team for Tony Buckingham's massive boat. Give us the most astounding fact on that vessel.
That thing, that's an amazing boat built at Royal Houseman in the Netherlands, and that has the largest composite rudder in the world in that boat.
Holy shit, yeah.
Yeah, it's massive. It's massive. And the keel tower in that thing, obviously it has a lifting keel in it. I think the minimum draft from memory is 5.5 metres or something like that. And the tower in the boat that goes through the saloon is about the size of a 40-foot container. It is milled out of a solid block of steel for the keel to go up and down inside this thing. It is an extraordinarily large piece of equipment.
Yeah, rightio. I reckon Mr. Houseman might be moving to the countryside after building that vessel too.
Yeah. I actually saw that thing the other day. It was rocked up into the Bay of Palma, and I thought I might get a chance to catch up with the owner, Mr. Buckingham, but he's an elusive man.
Well, he certainly... What, did he get a chopper out of there, or an F-18 came and picked him up or something?
Yeah, one of his cars parked in a garage somewhere. Who knows? He is the modern-day James Bond, that man, that's for sure.
Very cool. Hey, Chris, so you've obviously had a bit of fun across a bunch of fleets. Have you... I know you did pretty well in the RC44s, and obviously the TPs are home. First question, I guess, what's the tricks to making a TP go fast?
Well, we we had an advantage way back in the day. I was employed with Michael Ulbrook with the Ulbrook team that won the Volvo race, or Whitbread, I think it was back in those days. And we did a season with John Kostecki and the team. And unfortunately, we only did one season with Pinter before the owner decided to pack it in and move on. And at that time, an owner by the name of Torben Tornquist was starting out. And he'd employed Russell Cooch to get his team up and running. And essentially, all of us Pinter guys took our Pinter shirts off and put on Artemis shirts and went straight into building the boat for Torben. And everything that we learned from Pinter went into Artemis. And Russell made a point of saying when we were building that boat, he said, there's one thing you need to know about this program. And I said, oh, yeah, what's that? And he said, well, this is a no expense spared program. Anything you can do to make the boat go faster, you have full authority to do. And we did. And we kind of set a bit of a benchmark in 2007 and won the series and won the Worlds. and there were big gains to be made every year back then. But now, the gains are so small that it really comes down to the details to win in that class and to be great. And, you look at teams like Quantum and Azura that have been together for a long time. It's just as important to have a good cohesive team as it is to have a good boat. So, that's the 52s. I mean, there's no closer racing. There's no question about that.
And I can certainly vouch for the quality of the team back then, because they had, without a doubt, the best coffee machine in Mick Cookson's little Portacom.
That's right. Let me tell you a story about the coffee machine. As a, sort of boat captain, project manager-y type person, I got the shits so much with... I love coffee too. I'm a big coffee
Every
drinker.
bastard coming in.
Well, I got the shits with everyone. Every 5 minutes, the guys would go, "Come on, let's go and have a coffee." And we'd go down the road to the local cafe and we'd have a coffee. By the time we made eye contact with the lady and we ordered and we got our coffees and then we paid, we'd lose at least half an hour, 45 minutes just to have a coffee break. And if we had 3 or 4 coffee breaks a day, all of a sudden our day become really inefficient. And I was like, well, this is absolutely outrageous. And about the same time, those Nespresso machines come on the market. And I was like, well, let's buy one of these things. And we bought one and, put it in the container. And everyone thought that was fantastic. And I was really stoked about it because productivity went through the roof. So that was the story of our coffee machine.
Not to mention having to chuck a burner in there as well, and you've lost a good hour.
That's right. Well, and then you'd have a couple of guys who'd want to order a second coffee, so then it did turn into an hour.
Oh dear. I'm just thinking once we do that deal with the brewery, we won't be having coffee breaks on Baccarati. We'll be off having beer breaks. It's just going to be, we'll be wasting more than an hour.
Yeah, I'll see you in a week. Yeah.
Yeah, talk about our brewery thing going on. I was in the CYCA yesterday, as I mentioned, and I was having a meeting with a couple of people, and the bar lady came up to me and she threw a hat on my on the table, and I looked at it and went, oh, there we go. What's this? Turned it around, and it was the one of those little micro breweries. So they're all getting into it. So it's going to be exciting. We're going to be there.
Good. Hey, Chriso, just quickly before you. Well, and for the listeners, Chris and I worked together in 2000 for Vixale, Beneteau, Australia. So we've got many a story which we will not put across the airwaves here. But that was when you were coming out the back end of your 470 career, pretty much.
Yeah.
Just want to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, sort of. It's a bit of a sore point for me, my 470 Olympic aspirations. I sailed with Mark Robinson, who now is heading up the English Olympic side. I think he's managing the team or something like that. I caught up with Ian Walker the other day in Cowes, and Mark's going well over there. But, Mark and I, we had a good boat and certainly a good team capable of doing great things, but we didn't dedicate enough time to doing it. And I think we were right on the precipice of this sort of professional Olympic programs where these guys get enough funding that they can be full-time. And we weren't. We were still working, as you know, Bicey. I was working with you at Vixale there, putting together Beneteaus and trying to do an Olympic campaign on the side. And, as you know, part-time participation is not enough to reach the top of our sport. And, unfortunately, we didn't sail as nearly as well as we could have. And we kind of finished that frustratingly not achieving our goals,
So, I'm not sure who was the worst influence when we started working together, but we did find ourselves in the front bar of the CYC often on many occasions.
Yeah, that probably didn't really help any Olympic aspirations either. Drinking beer at the CYC is probably not really gold medal material,
Well, gold medal for Baccarati, put it that way.
Yeah. Well, look, this is where we are now, right? This is gold medal.
That's it.
No chance with a 470 trying to fit a few beers in. What's the favourite boat then? What's your favourite boat? You've sailed everything, so what's your favourite boat?
I tell you what, guys, I just did Cows Week on a quarter tonner.
Didn't expect this one.
They are throwing some serious bucks at those boats, aren't they?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was quite an emotional period for me because the owner was a guy by the name of Oscar Strugstad, who was a Norwegian English owner that I did the Far 40 Worlds with in 2001. And we won the Europeans, we won the pre-Worlds, and unfortunately we didn't have a very good showing in the Worlds. We ended up 6th or 7th or something. But anyway, I'd not reconnected with him since, and he decided that he's going to retire from sailing and he wanted to do one last swan song and got talked into chartering a quarter tonner for Cowswick this year. So I did that with Simon Fry, who I sail with on Provessa, and Jules Salter, who is the navigator on Platoon, and young Fuji, our bowman on Provessa. So we chartered this quarter tonner and had a blast of a time, but it was so windy. It was like sort of 23 to 27 knots every day. And let me tell you, sailing a quarter tonner in that much breeze is really effing hairy. And we laid it on its side a couple of times. We did a massive Chinese jibe and, broke the spinnaker pole around the weather cap shroud.
Yes. Awesome.
All that sort of, laid it in the side, really owner in the water, had to pick him up as he was drifting away. But that was cool, it's been remarkable. I've had an incredible career. I've had to, been able to sail some amazing boats from Sabos all the way through to 174-foot boat Pink Gin in St. Bart's. That was a big boat. Svea, of course, the J class is the big special one. But yeah, the little quarter tonner, it was cool, because it was, dinghy sailing in a little sailing yacht. It was cool. I really enjoyed it, and I'd love to do some more. It was cool.
Do you reckon just comes down to sailing with some good mates too, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a constant dream of mine. We're always compromised with, sailing teams, with, whatever goes on with the politics and bits and pieces. But to be able to just sail before your mates, that's a dream of mine for sure. And at some point in the future, I hope to be able to have a team where we can truly say that, from bow to stern, we're here for one another. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
It's Barcarati's, one of Barcarati's themes, Chris, is making sailing fun again. That's where we're at with it all.
Yeah, and I think definitely those 52s could do with a bit more of that attitude. They get very, very serious, and
Hang on. Am I seeing an opening for a Ginga challenge here?
Yeah, I probably get accused of not being serious enough at times, but you've got to keep it fun. When the shit's hitting the fan or it's going well or whatever, you've got to remember that it is a sport and we're there to have fun and enjoy it and make sure the owners are enjoying it. So, yeah.
I don't think there's many sportsmen, and that goes definitely for sailing, but across the board that say, I wish I was a little more serious during my career.
Yep.
Where most of them are saying, fuck, I just should have just lightened up a little.
F-bomb.
I didn't think you'd be the first one to let an F-bomb go, I thought that was going to be me.
Oh, dear. Well, you dodged one earlier. It was very well done. I was going to comment on it, so all good.
Let me just get into my 20th wine, guys.
No, I think the whole fun thing, like I don't know, when you get super, super, super serious, I feel like you sort of add the stress to the boat, and the tension goes into the boat. And when you just back it off that few degrees and you've got somebody on the boat that's just got that element of fun, they're still super professional, but they also are fully aware that you've got to take the tension out of the boat. I think that's when you start going better. If you take it too seriously, it just, like the classic example is you guys dropped your rig, Provessa, and you came back with an old rig just thrown into the boat, and then you had the best scorecard for the back end of that regatta. Like that, to me, that's just a sign of the pressure's gone off and you just sailed.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think the pressure come off everybody a little bit, because the owner obviously wanted to do really well in that regatta, and it was gut-wrenching for him that, what happened. But it took that pressure off everyone a little bit, that all of a sudden our pre-starts, we were a little bit more freestyling and a little bit, more carefree with our approach to the starts, and probably our approach to the tactics were, a little bit more leveraged and a little bit more risk associated with them because the points were already done at that point in time. And, my job on the boat, as a mainsail trimmer is just to sail the boat as quickly as we possibly can, and give the tactician what he's looking for, whether it's a high slow mode or a low fast mode or just straight old BMG. And, the pressure was off a little bit after it fell over the side. So we were a little bit more freestyle, there's no question. And it did become probably a little bit more fun with that bit of pressure being taken off for sure. Yeah.
It's a fine line, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Cool. All right. Okay. So we should actually move on. I think we'll keep going with Chris on board because he'll have some input here, given his accent. It's
Don't be fooled. It's the key. It's going to be like you soon, mate. You'll pick up your wife's Kiwi accent, but you are a true blue Aussie.
I tell you what, there is some definite accent to chameleons out there. Old Frank O'Leary, he's a beauty.
I was just going to say I was chatting to Nick Holroyd on the phone last night, who's the designer of the English, the UK America's Cup team. And he was, we just said, the New Zealand boat's out. And he said, oh, those bloody Kiwis.
Hanging around Grunter too long. Grant Zimmer.
He's a New Zealander, for those who don't know, Nick. I had something we were going to ask, completely forgotten now. But so let's go on to and actually talk about the New Zealand America's Cup boat. In case people missed it, it was launched.
Did anyone miss it?
It was cool, though. How cool. Hands up. Is the thing cool or not? Well, not hands up, audible. So we're not on TV.
Yeah.
Mate, this is one of the best times to be, observing yachting. And having worked for Dolts previously, this would be exactly what he would have wanted to do. First boat launched. And if he can get out there this week foiling around the Hauraki Gulf, that is just sticking it up to the other teams. So
you just touched on it a second ago about how exciting it is to be observing this sort of stuff. It's absolutely true. These boats are just going to be insane, and I cannot wait to see them burning around.
So, Chriso, actually, I've got a little note here. Basically, where this boat ended up, and I'd mentioned it previously. It's a bit of a combination. A vision from Howard Spencer in New Zealand. In collaboration with Guillaume Verdier and Ray Davies to develop such a boat. And now it's been extended from what was then a 38-footer up to a 75-footer. You know Ray quite well. Were you part of any early discussions or happened to see a little snippet of what was coming up?
Yeah, I did, actually. Yeah, I saw a mock-up which in Lisbon, which I know you know as well.
Yeah.
And it's startlingly similar. I think you can see a lot of, what those guys were doing and trying to develop with the Volvo Ocean Race in what we see today in the Team New Zealand AC75, and I'm sure what we're going to see with the Americans and the Italians and the English. Yeah, it's interesting. There's that concept there, and
a big high five to Howard Spencer and his vision for basically what he sees there. I saw on Live Sail Die, he was down there with Guillaume and Ray in front of the big boat, but secretly they know it was part of their kind of concept back in the day. So.
Yeah, well, I can guarantee you that those three eventually at some point in time are going to be doing the Coastal Classic and, which starts in Auckland, finishes up in the Bay of Islands there, and they're going to smash the living daylights out of that record in something like that. I'm certain of it because I know, chatting with Ray, that seems a goal of those guys.
I don't think they'll be breaking the record in Guillaume's boat. Remember
the far little 28-footer or whatever it is there?
Yeah, from about 20 years ago. Like, I love it. He's such a cool dude, isn't he? So he's just got this.
When are we going to try and get him on at some stage, boys?
Yeah, I think he's
Mate, you're worried about me and Chriso dropping the F-bomb. We'll get that bloody frog. who's been hanging out with the Kiwis way too long. He'll be dropping a few.
He was in an effusive mood last night, BP. He was sending emails last night. He was he's in a happy mood at the moment, I'd suggest, seeing his baby hit the water.
I bet he's in a happy place.
Yeah. Hey, so Chris, did you have a good close look at the photos? Anything jumped out at you? Like, I'm sure we've all got a few ideas, but we'll start with you, mate.
Oh, mate, I'm just trying to work it out like the rest of you. I've got no inside intel as to how that thing's set up or what's going on. But I just want to know how they're going to attack the thing. Like, you see that great big beam in the middle of the boat, in between, the two steering wheels and the pedestals and the winches and everything. How are they going to get from one side to the other?
So that Pete Burling's been in the gym on the Versa climber. So that's all he's practicing these days, so I can get up through the coamings over the centre beam.
But I can imagine the thing's going to have like some main that, that mainsail that, shoots right down
for
there for end-plate effect. So how the hell are they going to, I don't know, is there a tunnel underneath the boat?
That's what I reckon.
There's a tunnel.
Yeah, that's what I reckon.
Yeah. Must be, they must just squirrel around downstairs, go down and have a cigarette on the way through. No,
so
hang on, Bicey, before you go, you can't see Bicey's face, but he is so excited to get this point out now. I know exactly where he's going to go to.
No, well, I've got my own theories on the boat, and rumour has it, thanks, Jada, rumour has it, that they've got rowing machines down below to produce the power to pump all the oil around. Now, for a nation that has undoubtedly been the won most gold medals in rowing, it's a bit of a no-brainer. So the nation that has undoubtedly won the most gold medals sitting down going backwards. So could they be the first nation to be sitting down going backwards to win the cup, you reckon?
I tell you got to give it to those Kiwis, They're an ingenuitive bunch, and I'm sure there'll be something clever that they've got tucked up their sleeves, I think, for sure. Yeah. We're not seeing the whole picture yet.
Yeah. Plus, they're not actually reducing. I don't think they've announced the wind limits that they'll race in. I don't think that's actually been announced to the other teams. So, obviously, the Kiwis know what the limits they're going to put in place. But I don't think the other teams know that. So they've got a little bit more of a slight advantage. They're almost becoming American in the way they're playing the game there on that one. But what about the big hollows in the hull? Do you reckon that's just for structural strength? If you look at the bearers that sits on all the beds, you can see those big hollows in the shape of the hull. You guys seen that?
Yeah. Look, I got my own theory. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear it, because I've got a theory and I actually don't have a damn clue of what that, apart from longitudinal stiffness.
That's it. That's what I reckon.
Yeah, look, I think we're all onto it there. I think what the thing is, the difference is, we mentioned it earlier about how, I want to see them tack, I want to see them jibe. From all the information that's coming back from American Magic, which we have a little bit to do with, they are pretty well getting around the track close to 100% airtime. So, these foils are adding a little bit of a different element to it than the AC50s did. So I think we're going to see these boats up on, foils 100% of the time, a lot more than before. So the hull effectively is now just becoming a strength factor.
Yeah.
I must admit, I agree.
Oh, boss. Sorry, boss. Say again, mate. We dropped you.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. No, I agree with all there. But I've got another little theory, and it could be completely wrong. But there must be a wind range or some window where the boats are verging on falling and not. So they still need to create a little bit of static riding moment. So, and that may help with that. Whereas, because all the riding moment comes from the foil once you're up and running. And if
Correct.
You're in the water, it's got minimal riding moment. So you still need to create something.
Yeah, I'm with you, Bicey. I've got a bit of a theory too now that I'm sitting here thinking about it. And I do think that wetted surface area, like how and breaking that wetted surface area, the stage between the boat being displacing in the water and the boat foiling, and breaking that, that boundary layer as quickly as possible. So I do wonder whether or not it's sort of like a stepped hull, isn't it? Like you see in power boats, but it's done longitudinally instead of transversely. And I do wonder whether or not, the sooner that you can get up, you can break the hull out of the water and get the thing foiling. Obviously, there's going to be massive gains. If you can get your boat up and foiling, 10 seconds quicker than the next guy, you're going to be 100 metres plus in front. So I do wonder whether or not that's going to be some sort of a, water surface breaking kind of a response maybe.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we'll be able to get in contact with our man Guillaume to find the exact answer. Yeah. Let's all put a $5 on it, eh?
Yeah.
Yep.
Gonna see it soon enough.
We'll get Guillaume on. We'll get him on. Chris, so you said you built the biggest composite rudder in the world. Looking at the rudder on that thing, there's not much. She's tiny, the rudder on that thing. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I actually wasn't personally involved in building the rudder, but I know that it is the largest composite, carbon composite rudder constructed in the world. But I think if you have a look at it, if you put it next to a car or something, you'll soon start to see that it is actually quite big.
Yeah. Well, it's super high aspect, I guess, is the thing. But I guess it's really not doing too much. As long as it's not cavitating, then they're happy. So.
Yeah, I'm surprised actually. I was surprised that boat wasn't constructed out of carbon. I thought that would have been up the owner's alley to go down that road, but they chose to build it out of aluminium. And we're currently, trying to negotiate with the owner or talking him into racing that boat this year. So
no, I think we're in cross points. I was talking about the rudder on the Kiwi boat.
The rudder on the Kiwi boat. Sorry, I thought you were talking about the rudder on that.
No, I was just doing a cross comparison. You were involved with the largest composite one, and then, sorry, mate.
Yeah.
My bad throw on my part. Blame Bicey.
No, go ahead, boys.
No. Just talk about the rudder on the Kiwi boat. Did you have a look at that?
Well, I did, yeah. I mean, it looks tiny. It's got the chord length of a, steel ruler. That's outrageous.
Exactly.
The carbon steel, well, we'll call it a carbon roll.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So I guess that's the point. Like, I don't know if you boys saw that as well. Like, I was just looking at that going, gee, there's not much of that in the water. And I guess it's from a cavitation perspective is the only thing I can think of. But it's going to have a lot of load on it, I would have thought.
You'd have some lift. You have a look where the rig is on that boat. Like, you don't think you could get it much further back. But and I guess the main foils take care of the majority of the load, but for certain the rudder needs to take a certain bit as well. So it's going to be a bit of a balancing act for sure.
That thing, I should have read the rule, but I haven't. But that thing, the rudder's got elevators on it that are adjustable too, right?
Yep.
Yes.
They are, aren't they? Yeah,
and I think by looking at the top it's not really a stock anymore, I guess, or the top where the top bearing would be, looks as though it can rake fore and aft quite easily.
So maybe that's how instead of having the elevators moving up and down, they just move the whole rudder fore and aft, right?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's a bit safer. It's a bit safer across the board to do that, I would be suggesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Magician boat looks the same. The American thing it has that same funny little longitudinal cassette up in the deck. And I'd imagine that both of them are just raking the rudder forwards and backwards to create, control with that back rudder.
Imagine you lose control of the top bearing and it just goes flying the wrong way. Pushka, nosedive,
or launch.
Pushka, mono.
Did you? Speaking of going into the water, did you see the name of the boat? What they christened it?
Yeah, that's appropriate for what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Maori,
it was Te Ihi Ahi Te Ahi. Apologies to any Maori listeners.
Te Ahi, I think.
Yeah. Which means the dolphin in Maori.
Right,
Yeah, no, it could look like a dolphin when things start going wrong.
That's it.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I tell you what, I did find quite interesting in those photos today was the keel, whatever you call that thing sticking out the side of it.
the side kills.
Whatever. I mean, what do you call those things? I mean, whatever. But the chord length differences in obviously the ride height. You know, if the thing's up out of the water, the faster it's going, the higher they must fly, and therefore the shorter the chord length was. Did you guys see the steps in the keel chord length on that thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. Basically, the higher you fly, the less drag.
So therefore the shorter chord. Yeah. I thought that was kind of cool. But, I mean, God, if they've got that kind of control over that thing, good luck to them. I mean, wow. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit on, especially when they drop down and they're at full speed and all that drag picks up. It's going to be some interesting moments for sure.
Well, I can imagine. They've been testing in their, what do they call it? They've got some computer, some simulator.
Simulator, yep.
Yeah, imagine if their simulator was completely wrong. and they go, oh, shit. This thing isn't really responding like it was supposed to. Ow.
We're supposed to be doing 45 knots, but we're only doing 12. What's going on?
Hang on a minute. It's trying to do a wheelie. Hang on. Whoa.
Oh, Chris, it's great to have you, mate.
Good to catch up with you boys for sure.
I think the thing I can say for probably all of us is that we're like sort of kids in the candy store, and we're sort of just getting the first layer off the candy. Like it's
just unwrapped it.
Yeah, we haven't even got to. We can't wait till we see the thing hit the water. Obviously, that's the next stage. Obviously, see the thing in the water.
I think not only that's the right thing to exactly say, but it's almost like sitting back like we're grandparents just waiting for something to go completely wrong also.
We don't.
It's going to be so cool. And in saying that, as one of these young guys, as part of that Team New Zealand team, or any of the teams for that matter, must be an absolute bolt-oner. But sitting back a little bit older, we wouldn't even get a show in these days.
No.
With the level of skill needed to sail a boat like that, holy hell.
Absolutely. We touched on it earlier about how there's so much going on in the yachting world, and it's so much more visible these days. I was only thinking about it this morning, actually, that, you turn on your computer and there's just photos of boats here and boats there. And, we're going to have so much up and close footage, up and close information, whether it's tactical or performance wise. It's just going to be a really exciting era in yachting from now on, I think, with these designs and with these regattas.
So I guess we'll say, like, as a group, we're pumped for the Kiwis. Obviously, we haven't got an Australian team in, so we can't get to, but we're pumped for the Kiwis. We will get Pete or Blair or Guillaume on to have a chat at some stage on Barkarati when they've got the time to come and have a bit of a chat with us. So we'll get right in close on that. But we can't wait. We're stoked that. I mean, I remember when Guillaume was telling us about this, it was at the start of the Volvo, so we heard about this a long time before the previous America's Cup had been run, and he was sort of working on this design, and she was, it's come out exactly as you got, as we all expected, and it's cool. It's very cool. Then, of course, we've got the rig stuff to talk about in the future as well, BP.
Yeah, well, we'll just keep holding on that for the moment.
Yep. All right. Speaking of cool, what about that? We finally got a little bit of video of Alex Thompson's new boat. Remember last episode we were chatting about those foils. We're trying to, I can see Bicey's fired up here. He's ready to go. We were chatting about the foils on that boat, and obviously Nick's unique description of what the foils look like. And I said a few things, and we've got some video, so we can actually do a little bit of analysis here as well. Bicey, what do you want to say, mate?
what I want to say is, while we've still got Chriso on, imagine you're just in the Solent and Alex Thompson says, "Oh, do you want to come for a sail, mate?" And we saw that video, and there's those 3 lone souls just sitting on the side of the boat while Alex is probably downstairs in his PlayStation hub, just cruising along, and they are getting absolutely belted, sitting about 12 foot above the water, just waiting for something to go wrong.
It's amazing, isn't it? Like, I think it's just as fascinating what's going on above deck as it is below the water on those boats. I mean, 10 years ago, you know, those guys had no cockpit. You know, they're out in the elements, you know, while they sailed around the world. And now those guys can go around the world in shorts and a T-shirt. Like they're under their little deck, that combing thing, and they've got their little windows that they look out. They don't even have to go out and brave the elements now, these guys. I guess, you know, routing and weather and moding your boats become that much important as opposed to just, you know, setting the sails and cleaning them off and sending it. But I look at that thing, you know, sending it, and it's crying out for a rudder that has an elevator that's adjustable. It looks like
it's so true.
But it's doing a wheelie. It needs a rudder with an elevator that you can adjust, and I guess the rules clearly don't allow it. But you know, they're doing the best they can within the confines of the rules. And I
can say, Chris, that we tried very hard for this next edition of rules, IMOCA class rules, to actually get that in, didn't we, Bicey? We were pushing. We pushed that forward as part of the rules with the Volvo time.
Especially as part of the now with the ocean race transitioning to the IMOCAs, and clearly, like you say, Chris, you look at all these boats going around and they're just screaming out for some sort of elevator, not to actually necessarily fly the boat, but to actually control the boat.
That's it.
And you could argue it's actually a lot safer, like Southern Ocean as well, to dig the boat down as well. So, we agree. I'm for sure it's going to happen at some point, but when that time's going to happen, who knows?
No, definitely. That boat, you know, you can see it just keeps sort of flying, you know, higher and higher and higher to the point where that leeward keel, whatever you call it, comes out of the water, and then the thing kind of touches down again. You know, if it had some sort of an elevator on the rudder, they could control the height of the flight, and the thing would sustain, you know, good sort of foiling flight for way longer than I think what it can potentially do this time around.
Yeah, I was watching that video quite closely. I mean, there's a bunch of reasons for doing what it was doing, but I just couldn't help but think to myself, you know, you're out in the Southern Ocean, you're in some big nasties, and you're falling down the face of some of those big ones, just hitting the other side of it. My God, I just can't imagine what it would be like.
Well, I mean, have a look at what happened to that guy last time too. You know, he broke one of his keels or rudders or whatever you call those things nowadays. I don't even know what to call them.
Let's go with foils.
You know, foils, the foily things. But the future's got to be working out how to be able to change them at sea. How do you know, because, I mean, there's that much debris. We're hot on plastics and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, there's containers and wildlife in the sea. And, you know, there's no question that at least one of the boats going around this time around is going to break one of those things because they're going to hit something. And it's game over for them. You know, how do you change one of those things out at sea and keep racing? That's got to be a point of discussion too for me.
Well, we reckon that he's got it worked out. We've got a theory that those foils are reversible, and Alex has got it worked out. I was going to say on your shorts and T-shirt comment, do Hugo Boss even make a pair of shorts and T-shirt?
Yeah, 289 euros for a polo, thanks.
Yeah, I'm not rich enough.
Got to pay for an Open 60 campaign.
Yeah, I'm not even rich enough to walk into a Hugo Boss store, so I don't even know what they sell in there.
So the one of the things that we like, you're spot on with everything, and in terms of the way it is falling up in the air. When I was looking at that motion, that video, and you know, you talked about the quarter tonner thing before. I was actually thinking about it. I looked at that video and just the way the thing moves through the water. And then I was thinking back to the older IOR days and how boats moved through the water back in those dives, and you know, the Chinese dives and the lack of control. And the kids these days, they just don't know. They don't know, the kids.
Just don't know.
Yeah.
Soft. Soft.
We were sailing that quarter tonner. Obviously, those Sail GP boys were over there, and I caught up with Tom Slingsby is a good mate of mine, and that, and caught up with those guys and had a bit of a chat and stuff, and they're hurling around the Solent doing 15 knots, 50, and we were going downwind in our quarter tonner. We topped out at 14.6 knots.
Oh, no.
And I have to say, I don't know which would have been more terrifying. 14.6 knots in a quarter tonner with a wave, with just walls of water coming off the bow, sending it downwind. I'm gonna say right now, I reckon that's way more scary than doing 50 knots in one of those flying catamaran things.
Do you have a blooper on a quarter tonner?
No, mate. They've got these little masthead symmetrical spinnakers, and it's just outrageous. I mean, those guys. I tell you, there was a guy that did a Hobart race in a quarter tonner, and they've done fastnet races. I mean, those guys that sailed those things back in those days, my God, you got to tip your hat to them. They were certifiably mad.
Yep.
In the old Marlin wet weather gear as well.
Yep.
Southwester.
Well, will they be in the Don McIntyre Classic? Will they be eligible? Do they fit? Dear. Well, speaking of the foils on the old IMOCAS 60 of Alex Thompson and doing some damage, there was one of the IMOCA boats we were mates with, Malizza, was doing its transatlantic run. We said last week they're going off to do their transatlantic run, and she ended up short. They've hit something in the water, nosedived the boat, a few injuries all around, a bit like Kempy's powerboat off Port Lincoln. Hit a few things, and there's a few injuries, and now they're anchored up in St. Pierre. So do you guys see that?
Yeah, I see. Inevitably you're going to hit something, right, at some point in time. As for what that is, hopefully it's not wildlife or anything like that. But when you're sailing around with a Swiss Army knife ejected out the bottom of your boat, there's something going to come to grief at some point in time. So unfortunately that happened for Boris. It's not going to be the last time these boats are going to hit something. So we'll definitely, it's going to be a constant theme, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, on the trip back last week, I did. I could have counted 40 whales, I reckon, between sort of Gold Coast and the sort of mid-north region of New South Wales. It was just unbelievable how many whales are out there, and those things. I mean, they're pretty good at keeping clear, but at that speed, I tell you what, they're not going to have a chance.
No. I actually heard an interesting stat. They reckon within 10 years there'll be more whales on the planet than have ever been on the planet before. They've come back that strongly.
Oh, they're everywhere, mate. They're everywhere.
They're mad roaders, apparently.
Oh, you had to go. So, so Malizza out. That's a bit of a shame for those guys. I hope everyone's okay, and then they can go for another go. So we'll continue on the IMOCA theme. How many boats have been launched in the last month and a half, do you reckon? New IMOCAs.
I think there were 6 or 7 in build, so I'm guessing they're all out the shed now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say 6.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's crazy, isn't it?
And with the I just got some pictures sent through last night. Was it last night or Friday night? But of Tom Ariont's new boat, who's finally been launched, which is the exact hull shape of what was the Super 60.
Yeah.
So it's going to be pretty cool to see that. Got another set of extreme foils hanging out the side of that thing.
Yep.
So
Keeley things.
The Keeley ruddery foily things, wing things. So you just look at those things and it gives you a little bit of a get the spoon out.
To tie the whole conversation together for Chris. So, Chris, that design that Boss is just talking about, obviously the Super 60 coming with those foils, in the simulator, which we were talking about before with Team New Zealand, with the elevators on the rudder. So the Super 60, the only other difference is canning mast. We were sailing that design at 45 knots.
Extraordinary.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? I mean, it's revolutionising the sport. I don't know if it's for everyone. That's probably another episode of Barkarati to talk about whether or not this is going to go mainstream or not. But it's certainly incredible. How quick these boats are becoming, and it's just, man, I never would have pictured it in my lifetime. Sailing on a boat that potentially just comes out of the water and sits on its foils. I've never done it. I've never foiled. I can't tell you what it's like because I don't know. But it must be pretty damn amazing.
We just
sorry,
BP.
Sorry,
guys. Just touching on what you said a second ago there, Chris. That it's not for everyone and it might not become mainstream. I think the beauty of it is, you look at Formula One racing cars, okay? Now, not everyone gets an opportunity to drive a Formula One car, but everyone still loves watching it because of the speed factor, the fear factor, that everyone loves that. And I think that sailing hasn't really had that in the past. And I think the way this is all moving forward is that we're going to have that, and we're going to have classes that come from this that are going to be very similar to that type of racing. We're going to have full-on speed involved with lots of spectacular stuff, and I think that's the exciting part that we're all looking forward to.
For me, I'm a bit of a traditionalist, and the whole car racing thing, I'm a bit of a car nut myself. I love fast cars and big engines and things, and I think that we associate with racing cars because they've got a steering wheel and four wheels, and we've got a car parked in the garage that's got four wheels and a steering wheel. So it's sort of the same thing, but the guy that's got his Beneteau 40 parked down at the CYC has got no sort of association with this foiling thing, and he never is going to, and I just can't see how feasible it is to have these things parked at the dock at the CYC and the guys are going to go on a Wednesday night twilight race, or, how's it going to work? I'm a bit of a pessimist, I think, in that regard, and I just don't see how these things are going to become mainstream, unfortunately,
Well, put it this way, Chris, if it was us two, the Wednesday night, the way we used to treat Wednesday nights, wouldn't want either of us behind the wheel of one of those things.
Well, can you imagine that delivery that we did from Coffs Harbour back to Sydney, Part 40, two-handed, remember that?
Two-handed, 2 chickens, a stick mag, and hoist the chute half a mile from the entrance, dropped it down, going through the heads.
Mate, out in the middle of the ocean with no chart.
God.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, I can remember waking up one morning going, shit, I think that might be Sydney over there. We probably should jibe.
Looks very bright in the distance.
Yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, shit, that is Sydney. Yeah.
Thank God for the Centrepoint Tower, eh?
Yeah, good times.
Hey, Chris, I was just going to say, the fact that you hadn't foiling wasn't made obvious, being a foiler wasn't made obvious by your lack of use of the technical terms.
Yeah.
The foily things.
Yeah.
What was that word Nick Dana used last week? What was it? You guys remember?
Oh, yeah.
Way too
laminiering.
long.
Laminiering or something?
Laminiering, yeah.
Laminiering.
Get that in the vocab, mate.
He must have had too many beers down the local pub, laminiering, whatever.
We're just two tonight, lads, so I'm going for a laminier.
Yeah.
I thought that was a band, like an Irish folk band or something.
I think you're right. Yeah, the Lemoners. Yeah, I think you're right.
The Laminiers.
Before we go on to brewery discussions, let's just talk about the old Blackjack. Just came out of McConaughey's shed. For those who don't know, Blackjack's a 100-footer. It's a Rockwell Pugh design, the old Alfa Romeo, the sister ship to Wild Oats 11, so that should put the picture in the back of your mind there. Obviously, Wild Oats 11's been reshaped and recustomised about 9,000 times, so Blackjack's got the disease. Anybody know what's going on with that one?
Well, yeah, I guess. I'll tell you a good story. You guys got a minute? I'll tell you a good story about that boat. We, as far as I know it, I used to be the mainsail trimmer on that boat when it was Alfa Romeo. And at the time, I was sailing with Neville Crichton and we were doing the Far 40 Worlds in Sydney. And we lost them on a countback, I think. But at that same time, Neville was building that 100-footer up at McConaughey's, and he used to ring me up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning and go, "Hey, g'day, what's going on?" And I'm like, "Oh, shit, I don't know. I'm still in bed. I'm just waking up." And I'd be like, "Right, I'll pick you up in 5 minutes." And, he lives in Point Piper and had an apartment in King's Cross at the time. And he'd drive through that tunnel and I'd wait out the front for him and he'd pick me up. We'd go up to McConaughey's and go and have a look at that boat in build up at McConaughey's in Monavale there. And, we'd walk around and, I'd sort of have a look at the main sheet area and where I wanted to put the instruments and the buttons and all those sorts of things. And one day, John O'Morris, who was running McConaughey's, came out and he said to Neville, he goes, "Oh, Bob and Sandy Oatley are here to come and have a look at your boat, Neville. Is it okay if we show them?" And Neville was like, "Well, yeah, sure." And they came out and they walked around and had a look. And Neville had to fly out the next day to Italy for some, car meeting or whatever he was, work stuff. And apparently the Oatleys had offered him, X amount of money for that boat to buy it off him at the time. And they gave him 24 hours to accept the offer. And if he didn't, they were going to build a boat and challenge him with in everything that he did. And, of course, Neville's response, Neville would have told him to F off. And they built Wild Oats. And, that was built in a, ridiculously quick period of time and, was a little bit longer, a little bit more rocker, a little bit this and that. And, challenged us in that first Hobart race. And, of course, they beat us by 10 miles or whatever it was. That was, we missed a shift on the first afternoon. But, that was the start of the legacy, between Alpha and Wild Oats. Yeah. And, away we go. So, but I know that, Alpha had a little bit less rocker, so it was sort of hard to press that boat. It did like submarining a lot. So, maybe those guys, they've clearly done a good job since then of modding that boat and, clearly trying to push in that direction of, making the thing quicker than Wild Oats.
Yeah, so just talking about the era, it was an era of sailing that was exciting to be around. The two boats, watching them sail together was awesome. But it's kind of fitting now. You go up to Hamilton Island, you've got the front half of Wild Oats sitting on the bar there. I'm thinking maybe we should put the back half of Alfa Romeo on the other side of the bar. What do you reckon about that for an idea?
Yeah, love it.
Yeah. Of course, the Oatleys would accept that in their nice new yacht club.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
I think it'll be a classic, to be honest.
I was down at RQ the other day, and the stern of Blackjack sitting there on the in the car park, and I just noticed in the pictures as she came out of McConaughey's this morning that on the stern in the car park it's got RQYS as its yacht club, and on the stern this morning in the pictures that came out with Yacht Club of Monaco, the Monaco Yacht Club, and I'm wondering if maybe the signwriter didn't know how to sand the old name off and repaste it. They had to cut the stern off and do it that way.
Yeah. Well, why do something efficiently, eh? Squawk must have called that one.
Squawky.
Oh, dear.
I did receive a bit of news from the Secret Pro. We'll have the Secret Pro talk later, but along with rumour has it, we will now see Wild Oats doing its 9,001st modification based on knowing that the Blackjack's been in the shed.
Yeah.
And word has it, getting rid of the boards, putting a canard back in.
Oh. Really?
Mm. So we'll stay tuned for that one.
Well, I don't know if you remember my little chat when I walked the dock in Hamo couple of weeks ago, but I bumped into Paulie McGee, and there was they were using a drill. They were playing around with some sort of jig, and I said, "What's that?" And he said, "It's very secret." And I said, "Oh, well, you're doing it out in public here, and it's not it can't be that important." No, they said, "No, it's important." And I just laughed. So anyway, that was the start of it.
The canard's got to be liftable to me. Yeah. I think that was the big issue for us with that Alpha when we were sailing. It was the canard was driven with it was a hydraulic ram, and you could have the thing free floating or driven by the ram. And it was always a problem, that thing, because it was too much drag downwind. So if you could have got a hacksaw out and chopped it off when you were going downwind, you would have. but obviously it was a weapon upwind. So to me, I always thought that you'd put that thing in a couple of massive rudder bearings and be able to lift the thing out of the water when you wanted to, and when you wanted to go up, when you just drop the thing back down and away you go, you know. So maybe, you know, who knows how IRC's treating these things these days, and maybe that's the road they're going down. Who knows?
Yeah, well, do you reckon it's IRC or just the, you know, just
Bragging
a big
rights.
dick off who first over the line
Well,
between the 100-footers for sure?
It's a big dick off for sure, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Who'd have
how is
thought?
it? All
Who'd
these
have
guys buying their 100-footers. I mean, oh my God, in Sydney of all places.
Yeah, who'd have thought? Anyway, let's get on to something much more important, guys. Meetings with breweries during the week. Looks like we've got no show of all our plans, Bice. Is that correct, or have I got that completely wrong?
Well, put it this way, I've been taste testing quite a bit this week to see what Baccarati beer is going to taste like. So, Chris, just if you didn't know, we're going to be launching our own beer at some point in time, branded Baccarati, with the idea that every yachty in the world is going to have a schooner of Baccarati or a tinny of Baccarati at some point in time. We've started some discussions.
It's going good.
Those discussions, gentlemen, are going very well. So stay tuned. And we look forward to some sort of worldwide launch.
It's exciting.
Well, if you need a distributor over here, guys, you got one, because most American beer is really shit. So.
I think we discussed that in our beer tasting segment a few weeks back. We described Budweiser as drinking a schooner of Guinness, and then once you've finished, fill it full of water and then drink that. That was the flavour we got from Budweiser.
Someone's left some Coors Light in my fridge, and I don't know who it is, but I want to kill him.
Budweiser, it's like having sex on a laser, right? It's like effing close to water.
Oh, I don't know if I'm going to have to put the adult content on when we publish
to put the E on this one.
Oh, dear. I don't know the answer. All right, but that's good news. Like for those who are following the whole thing, it's pretty exciting news. I've got to say, like, we've been pumped all week, and as Bossy said, he's been out taste testing. Done a little bit of taste testing this week as well myself, mate, just to make sure. So,
I've fair bet, BP. Been doing a bit of taste testing yourself?
Yeah, I've been making sure that we know what's in the market. I've been actually just checking our competitors. I think we've got a good shot at this one, I think.
Hey, Jay, being a bit of a bean counter back in your day, can we claim this on tax? Taste testing?
Yeah. Actually, in all honesty, you have to capitalise it because the expense has been spent before you've started selling. So it has to go in as an asset on the balance sheet, and then you have to depreciate it.
Oh, fuck, here we go.
You got to capitalise it. Anyway. Right, we got so much. This is ridiculous. I got some coaching to do. We've got to get out of here.
Yeah, of course you do.
True. Boss John Fisher Memorial Boy.
Yes. As most of our listeners would know, John Fisher, who lost his life in the last edition of the Volvo Ocean Race, his local yacht club here in Adelaide, the Christie's Beach Yacht Club, have rallied together and been part of a movement to develop a permanent buoy out the front of the yacht club, which will be officially unveiled at their opening day, I believe, on the 12th of October. So a great initiative out of an exceptionally bad situation, but great work to all the team down there, and we hope it's something that, you know, every time whether it's you're sailing past or even in the Lincoln race or whatever, just tip your hat to John and to his family.
Yeah.
Well, they do have one. They've also put one in Cows at the Isle of Wight.
Yeah, in the Solent.
Yeah.
Yep.
So exactly. you could do the John Fisher race from Cows to Christie's, and
there you go.
2 marks of the course. That would be quite. Somebody will do that one day, or it may be a cruise or something, but somebody will do it. I'm sure. He was a good man.
Yeah. Very good.
Right, we sort of touched on your points about the boat for the Kiwis thing and the phrases. So I think we'll go on. We have this little note. Who would you consider the best sailors in the world in the current day?
So it's a good one there, Chris. I hope you can chime in on this, because last week I mentioned a comment which is probably showing my age a little bit more than anything, that 470 sailors were considered the best in the industry back in the day, say 20 in your day especially. If you're looking for one of the best in the industry, you drag them out of a 470. But in this day and age, with all these foiling going around, so kind of linking the two conversations together, who would we consider the best sailors in the world?
Well, I think for me, straight away, Tom Slingsby's got to be at the top of the list. You know, he's obviously dominating the foiling thing right now. He spent the most amount of time, hasn't he, with Oracle and with the Sal GP thing. And I've sailed with him. You know, he did a year with us with the 44 with Charisma. And he's currently sailing with the Russians with Nika. And doing a great job. You know, so you're looking for, you know, someone to be called the best sailor in the world's got to be able to cross-pollinate across all the fields. He's won medals in the Olympic classes in the laser, you know, which is, God damn it, probably one of the hardest boats of all to sail and sail well. And, you know, he can foil at 50 knots and he can get a 44 on the racetrack and win a regatta. So not too many people in the world can say that they've done that right now. So he probably is mine right now.
And hence his pending contract with the Ginga Challenge. So obviously, to put that in there, he's topped it right off, eh?
And his sister's quite attractive.
Yeah, who else? I mean, God, you know, who else is as diversified? You know, that's the thing, isn't it? Our sport's very diverse now. You know, you've got everything from sailing in boats that do, you know, 5 knots upwind to 50 knots. And, you know, not too many people can claim that they're a master of all of it.
Sorry,
go on, Beep. All right. So when we saw this question, the first name I wrote down was Slingsby, same as you. But if you asked this question 3 or 4 years ago, the first name anyone would have written down was Ainsley. So whether he's just hiding at the moment and he'll pop up with the America's Cup and just be going fast or not, I don't know. But Slingsby is definitely the show guy at the moment. But you would have sworn someone would write Ainsley. I asked this question many years ago of Dave Tillett, who was the head judge in the America's Cup and a lot of events, and actually pretty much wrote the rule book. And because I figured he'd been behind all the best possible sailors in the world. And this is a long time ago I asked this question, but his answer was Torben Grail back in the day.
Yep, I would agree with all of them at certain points, without a doubt.
So it's not one of us?
Torben Grail, he's an absolute icon, isn't he? You know, but you're going into a different generation of the sport. You know, when you start to go back to that generation, you know, you could talk about, you know, Russell Coates or John Kostecki or, you know, Francesco De Angelis. I mean, there's you know, awesome guys, but they don't really transcend the modern day sport. You know, this whole foiling thing that's taken off is, you know, really the one person who's sort of cross-pollinating across both right now is Slingsby, who's doing well, you know. I mean, Nathan Outeridge is another great sailor, but we don't see him sailing traditional boats. So, you know, it's hard to know, you know. I mean, he's did his 49ers and he's done his, you know, Sal GP thing, but, you know, come and have a go on a 52 or a 44 and see how you go, mate, you know.
Look, I think it brings out the natural sailor. This the way we're heading with it all, and Slingsby's definitely gifted in that area.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Grail name, like when we were in Brazil for the stopover last time, Martin was racing, obviously, and where we do the stopover, Itajai in Brazil, there's like 250,000 people. Lived there, and 500,000 of them come to check out the ocean race. It's just crazy how many people turn up. And Martine is so, because the Grail family's huge, but Martine was so popular, she was actually walking around the village dressed with a beard. Like she had a fake beard and a hoodie and the whole thing to get around the village. It was insane.
Was it fake? one.
Come on. She's a lovely lass.
Sorry, I was waiting for a serious sort of comment to come out there, and I just lost it.
All right, let's
Walking around with a
I
beard.
think, well, she was, mate. It was crazy. It was insane how popular she was. She couldn't move. It was insane. All right, so we reckon it's Slingsby. None of us.
Not just yet.
Okay.
No, we're working on it.
Yeah.
Paul Goodison, Paul Goodison's another one. You got to rate him. Terry Hutchinson, world domination. Terry, he's not bad. God, plenty of good guys.
Chris Hosking, he's all right.
Yeah, don't think so. Don't know about him.
Cool. All right, well, let's move on because I think we sort of said what we can say there. So let's just quickly touch on Secret Pro news. Anything coming through?
I believe, well, I think it won't be necessarily secret, but I'm attending the teams meeting at the Ocean Race for the Ocean Race this week. So I will be able to give some news in regard to that and try and pick up a few sound bites as well whilst I'm there. Try and pick up who's signed to people for teams and teams for the race for that matter.
Yep.
Very cool. Inside information, our own Secret Pro.
Yeah. Well, the news, speaking of signings, the first one I've heard is that, or a Secret Pro has heard, is that there's some paperwork on Rob Greenhale's desk. He's just got to sign it, and he will, and I think he's going to. I don't want to speak for him, but he'll be signing up with Charlie and Mark for the next Ocean Race on the IMOCA, which is probably the perfect signing. He's the perfect guy. He's the, there's not much room down below in those things, and then you've got a little fella like Rob who is just awesome. Like he's strong, he's intelligent, he's the best. He's the best possible package, I would have suggested.
Yeah, he'd be one of the hottest prospects going around for the next, for Ocean Race experience.
Yep.
Not only he knows how to make a boat go fast.
Yeah, he can sail anything. He's a bloke who can sail anything as well. So rumour is that he's got the contract on his desk. He's just yet to sign it. So good luck to him and those guys. I suspect Charlie and Mark will be zooming around picking up all the best sailors right now before anyone else can get them because I think they're already funded and away they go.
Well, and I think there's another team out there too who's probably picked up several as well. But in the other Secret Pro news, one that slipped across was, and Chris, you might be able to comment on this one too. Is this the last we're going to see of the Maxi 72s as they are in their current form?
Yes.
Or as a world championship boat?
Yes, that is a definite yes. I think you look at Jet 2's already extended their boat, so they're no longer a 72. And I'm pretty sure that was Cannonball's last regatta. So you're down to two, essentially, with Bellamente and Jim Schwartz with the Vespa crew acquiring Momo. So, unfortunately, it's, not looking good for the 72 class, which is such a shame.
I mean, a great boat, but probably just got to that. They were allowed to upgrade a few items, so it kind of splintered the fleet a little bit at certain times, and not a cheap boat to run, I wouldn't think either.
No, I ran that the Ran 72 for a couple of years there, and I think the problem with that class, in my opinion, is they didn't put a box around it. They continued to chase IRC, and every year, they're doing new keels, and a new keel's $250,000. Modifying the boats and things, and it just becomes prohibitively expensive for anybody to do that. How do you justify spending that money to even a billionaire? It's impossible. So I just don't understand why they didn't put a box around the parameters of the rule to limit them. Like that, that's the success of the 52s for me. There's a length, a beam, a draft, a keel weight, a bolt weight, a rig weight, a sail area, and you fight within the limit of the box. And the boats are still great under IRC. So why they didn't do that to the 72s has got me absolutely effed. But anyway, they've gone and done what they've done and chased IRC and burned a whole lot of money in people's pockets, and the class is done. And it's a real shame because we need big boats,
Yeah, I agree. And I've got one last one for you guys. Allegedly, in the next edition of the Sydney to Hobart race, with the two-handed rule that's been introduced, David Witt and another will be sailing Scallywag double two up.
Not possible, but it's the rumour I've heard too.
Wow.
No comment.
Cheers, Witty.
Yeah, Chriso, what are you going to say on that one, mate?
Mate, well, I guess you want to make sure that every winch is powered, and obviously everything's on a furler and there's a lot of push button because there's no way you could sail a 100-footer two-handed otherwise. That would be impossible. But I've got one for you guys.
I love
a speculative one. So the Stars and Stripes America's Cup team, they claim to still be in the race, right?
Yep.
No one really knows anything about them, how much money they've got. I've heard all sorts of rumours that they're no longer building their boat, but they're still in the race and they haven't withdrawn. So assuming that they've paid their money and everything. So I kind of had an epiphany last night when I saw that Team New Zealand boat come out with all of its, signage and everything, that eventually when Team New Zealand build their second boat, I'm going to hedge a bet right now that the Team New Zealand first boat is going to end up with Stars and Stripes signage on it.
Oh.
It's been done before.
You heard it first at Barkarati.
Good thought.
Yeah, I'm calling it right now. I think that's what's going to happen.
Good
This
thought.
is recorded, episode 12.
Yeah, good thought.
Yeah, love your work.
Right, well,
I see no other way. I mean, why else? Why those guys? It's impossible for them to build a boat now. There's no way they'll get one in time, and they haven't withdrawn. So the only way that they can continue participation is to be given a surrogate boat, and I think that they're going to end up with Team New Zealand's first boat. That's where my money's at.
Let's be honest, it makes sense anyway. I mean, if 4 teams is 4 teams. Although it's a spectacle, it's always good to get the maximum amount of people involved, and I think that's
Team New Zealand. Yeah, Team New Zealand want more boats. I think it's a way for Team New Zealand to get more entries, and I reckon that's what's going to happen.
good idea. It's interesting.
duly noted.
Love it. This is good. Barkarati, just getting into the depth of things. I love it. Well, let's just quickly touch on the Maxi Worlds then, seeing we're talking big boats in the race results.
I noticed you didn't make it there this year, Chriso, but I must admit I was going through the results and there was only 53 entries. I don't know whether that is high or low, but it always seemed much higher for some reason. So I'm not sure what I feel about that, to tell you the honest truth.
I was really hoping to do it with Vespa, but I seem to have fallen out of love with Gavin. I don't know why. Gavin, if you're listening.
Bring it back.
What have I done?
I love you.
But,
Come back.
Yeah, Gavin.
You know I love that job.
Yeah. But then the J's, obviously, Sphere, we're going to do a training session in November in the Big J. So we weren't ready to do the Maxi Worlds. So we do a training session in November, and then the boat goes down to Antigua and for race week and then some parts, and then on a ship to New Zealand. So, that's sort of my boat plans.
Yep. But in from a result point of view, I won't run through every class, but the Mini Maxi, or the 72s, we had Cannonball take that out, and as I say, Chriso, possibly their last regatta. The Mini Maxi 2, Super Nika, with almost a perfect scorecard, all wins and a second. And then in the Maxi racing boats, we had the couple old stalwarts, Irvin Laidlaw with Highland Fling and George David finishing on equal points, but with Irvin getting the final gong. And then finally in the Wally Casts, taken out by Lyra for the second year in a row, I believe.
Yeah, apparently that Lyra dude's really got a bug for the sport. He's new and into it. Our tactician on Provessa, Hamish Pepper, was there doing the job for those guys this week. And here it sounds like the owner's really got a bug for it and he's into it. So expect big things from those guys in the future.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
Good news. Good news.
Super cool. And Irvin Laidlaw, he's had he's got Swan 115 that's on the market currently for anyone who wants it. And I hear he's also got his Botine 56 on the market, which is basically a big version of a 52 with powered winches and things. But yeah, he loves that old Reichel Pew, that 88 thing that he's got. So, and he's enjoying that. So that's cool. And George David with the Rambler, what an amazing boat, and good bunch of boys on that boat. So, yeah, super cool. Amazing pictures of that thing doing the Fastnet race, eh? That looks super cool.
Yep.
Yeah, awesome boat. We love that boat for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the Super Nika guys, I really don't know too much of it, but yeah, clearly sailing really well.
Cool. Well, nice place to go sailing too, let's face it. So they'd all be pretty happy people at the moment. In the Fireballs, World Champs happen. Congrats to Ian Dobson, Richard Wagg's stuff. Now, there's two easy names for me to pronounce. Hey, guys, they won the Worlds, but in second place, Heather McFarlane and Chris Payne from Victoria.
Very cool.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Stand up, Australia.
No,
Yeah.
well...
High fives.
But also Heather doing such a good job. She's been in that class for a long time and is the Australian champion, I think, that crew. Second at the World Champs. It's a big call. Well done. J70 Worlds BP, did you have a quick look at that one?
Yeah, I did. Had a chat to our old mate, regular Benny Lamb, during the week. But the results have come back. Obviously, a fantastic fleet as per usual for this type of boat. Easy access, etc., etc. Paul Ward from England got up and won that one on his boat called Eat, Sleep, J, Repeat. Don't know what that's all about, but anyway, that's what it's called. USA in second, Catapult with Joel Ronning. And going down to third from Spain, now old mate Patan was involved, Bicey. So Pablo Santurde there was crewing on board with Jose Maria Tosida, taking out third place. Pretty closely fought out regatta down across the fleet. It as always produces some great competition. Just touching quickly on Lammy, he was there with an Australian entrant. I had Tom Grimes on board with him. Got in for 16th. Actually won two races. So bit of an up and down regatta for him, but it's the owner's first ever regatta apparently. So first ever Worlds, I should say. So he's done really well for himself there. So J70s, always good.
Also, Marshall King and Soak Racing won the Corinthian division. They were the world champions in the Corinthian division. So, cool. Did you have anything, boss? I could see you looking at something there. You're all good?
No, all clear.
All clear. Around the grounds this week, I can only think of the Plateau 25 Worlds. So, good luck.
Are we sending our roving reporter to that one? The well-coveted Plateau 25 Worlds?
Don't have the budget at this stage if they want to send us some money. If you want to get involved in the old Bar Karate, hashtag Bar Karate on the Instagram, Facebook page, and
yes, this week our IT team has been flat out. They've been flat out in the back stalls of the basement there, and they have released the Bar Karate website. Bicey, say something.
www.barkarate.com, believe it or not.
Okay.
Awesome. And I must say, it's been a big week. We've received our first bit of fan mail.
You idiots.
And some of you must have seen it on our Instagram or Facebook page, but just stand by here a second.
You idiot.
You will now be known as Flash Jordan.
All you had to do, Bicey, was tell me to record that, and I could have put that on the mixing desk, and we could have had a really nice quality.
That's not how we roll here at Bar Karate. Flash. Now listen, you just step back and just hang in there, boy. Flash Jordan has arrived.
The same as if you pressed the button and then you said, "You idiots."
You idiots. I think we're nearly done, boys.
I love it.
We got some fan mail. It's great work. We are nearly done. Just got the quiz question. Any other points for you guys?
Yeah, just quickly, just back onto the website. Subscribe in there and get amongst it. We don't know what's going to happen with that in the future, but it's always good to have everyone knowing what's going on.
Yeah, and we'll put our bank accounts up there. So if you are unhappy with what we're doing, you can just send cash. That's how we recognise that you're not happy with us. So we'll put our bank details up there for you to do that. Right, the answer to which takes longer, a day or a year on the planet Venus? A day. By the time it takes, well, I can't remember how many days it is for it, but by the time it goes around the planet, around the sun, which is a year, it still hasn't done a full day in rotation. So it must be crazy hot on the surface of that place. And
it'd suck living there. You'd be pretty tired.
Be pretty tired. Yeah. Right. The quiz question this week, it's a pretty boring one. What colour is Coca-Cola? And you know I don't have much time for that stuff. Before the food colouring is added.
Rightio. Yeah, that was a good one.
It's not a great one. It's not a great one. I was rushed. I've been busy this week. I don't know if you know. But
what, coaching were you?
Real work. Best of luck to Sean Rice, as we said. Chris Hoskings, mate, you're a champion. What a legend.
Chris O. Awesome, mate. Thank you.
Cheers, fellas. Really enjoyed it. We'll have to do it again sometime soon.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Can't wait,
lasted
mate.
a whole show. Well done, old mate. Good to speak to you. We'll no doubt be in touch.
You bet.
Longest ever edition ever, boys. We have to work out how to cut it down. See you later, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Bye.